Finch-Saunders.
The default 20 miles an hour speed limit across the majority of residential roads in Wales has faced some of the most significant criticism to legislation I have ever witnessed. What was intended to improve road safety and reduce emissions has instead sparked widespread frustration, condemnation and opposition from the public, our local businesses and local authorities. £33 million spent on its implementation, which you can imagine has angered those who feel that these monies should have instead gone into our failing health service or into our education budgets to fund the woeful shortage of teachers. One of the fundamental issues with its implementation was the distinct lack of consultation and engagement with those it would be affecting, i.e. our motorists, our carers, our workers, our residents, our emergency services and, of course, our local transport systems. Such is the reputation of this very flawed legislation that there are now reports of visitors in decline for fear that they could be fined or gain points on their licence. And if you don't believe me, speak to the hospitality industry who keep being asked even before people make bookings, and then sometimes people are cancelling those bookings. In defence of this policy coming forward, the then Minister Lee Waters passed the buck of responsibility for doing it to our local authorities, charged with amending the road speeds and the appropriate signage. Now, I don't condone this, but many of these signs were defaced or vandalised. Such was the anger and frustration from people who would never, ever engage in any criminal activity. Some of the problems relayed to me by constituents are that they, when sticking to the limit, are being aggressively tailgated by very frustrated drivers trying to navigate the constant changes in speed limit. I've got a road in Aberconway that is 60, then 40, then 20, then 60, and people are really finding it difficult. Some are even ignoring the new restrictions, raising concerns that adherence to Welsh law is in decline and that roads may be becoming more dangerous. There is even now doubt whether the supposed reduction in emissions have actually increased due to many driving at a lower gear ratio. So I might ask the Welsh Government, what have you done about this? In North Wales, the number 4 route between Bangor and Holyhead requires an extra 11 minutes in each direction, while buses 14 and 15 between Llysfine and Conwy need an extra 5 minutes each way. Indeed, Arriva have had to alter some bus routes in Aberconway, causing a mountainside village to be completely cut off from the main bus route. Only last week, I highlighted to the Cabinet Secretary for Transport that this legislation has a shocking reputation across the UK. In May, the Cabinet Secretary made a statement explaining that guidance was needed for which roads needed to be exempt and that he would be supporting local authorities in doing that. The next reports the next day in the media were Cabinet U-turn or something on this policy. Well, that was wrong. However, we are a year on from its implementation, and despite the warm words from Ken Skates, we still have a default 20 miles an hour on many of our roads. The Welsh Government have already admitted the policy was badly implemented, and we are now in a situation where over 10,000 requests have been received by our hard-pressed local authorities up and down Wales with over 1,500 stretches of road to be changed. Yet nothing is being done. The petition opposing the policy has become the most signed in the history of this Senate, reaching 469,571. And that was it's still, signatures are still going on there. A £34 million policy forced unwillingly on Welsh motorists will now see another £5 million spent to revert roads, incorrectly changed to 20 miles an hour, with councils across Wales that are already on their knees financially, forced to clean up the mess left behind you, Lee Waters, and by this Welsh Government. It's even left one ex-minister's reputation in tatters, forcing him to resign from the post following the shocking backlash of the policy. You've even come out saying that the Welsh Government's messaging following the U-turn is completely botched. explaining that motorists are saying it's all changing in September, so we don't need to bother even sticking to 20 miles an hour. It is time for change, members, and anybody watching, you'll note that people are coming back in on the Labour and Plaid benches, but they've been largely absent during the most of this.
Janet, you need to conclude, please.
It is time for change and for a slick, quick, common sense rollback, thereby allowing our motorists a choice and the freedom to enjoy their liberty.
Janet, conclude,
I implore you to vote with us today. Together, we can reverse the current direction of travel and get Wales back moving. Diolch.